How's it going? My name is Brent from Encore PPF and Tint, and today we're going to go over the process of installing a bumper trunk area protector. What do they call this really? I think we call it a trunk entrance protection. And so we're going to go over kind of, let's see, the whole process really on this one. So we're going to go over measuring. We're going to get into the computer. We'll bring up the trunk piece, and then we'll make adjustments to it for the coverage that we need to get out of it. So, you know, if you're doing these pieces, I recommend like almost never installing what comes out of the computer. They never give it enough coverage. You want to make sure that you're getting all of these edges, and you know, don't get me wrong, some of them probably do, but you want to make sure that you're getting all of the edges here, because a lot of times they'll just go like from here to here and they try to hide that line on this body line. And as far as I'm concerned, that's not enough coverage, because if somebody's going to hit this, then they're probably going to hit this. So I like to make sure that we get as much coverage as possible from left to right, and that we bring it down plenty far enough in order to really get all this area protected. So let's go ahead and go over that process. Oh, hey, I brought a tape measure out with me today in my pouch. If you watch any of my videos, you'll know that normally I have to go hunting around for a tape measure, and I don't come prepared when it comes to making these videos. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure from here to here. So we want to go like this. We're going to make that turn, make this turn, come down. So I'm gonna say we want a minimum of 5 inches, and I'm gonna cut about 5.5 inches. Now you could also round up this right here. That's totally personal preference. I'm not sure that that could even get hit by anything, but I know that the last one that she had on here, she got rear-ended, so we're just replacing one. And then let's check on this width here. So I would want to make it at least to this edge here. So from that line over to that one. And we're gonna be at 33.5. So let's go ahead and bring up the one that they have in the computer, and then let's make those adjustments to it, and then we'll go over installing it. And then if you guys wanna stick around after all that, I've got a couple pieces that we're gonna put on here that she had on here previously as well. All right, so actually about a week ago, we already just got done installing a new trunk protector for her. So this is the exact one that we need to install, but we're gonna go ahead and edit another one. I'm just gonna keep this here so that we basically get real close to matching it. Yeah, it's crazy that we just put that on and then she gets rear-ended, and then we're doing another one. So let's go ahead and turn this so you can see what we've done with this one here. Let's see if we can zoom in kind of, not that much. But anyway, what you can see here is that we did put a little bit more width on it, and then obviously a little bit more length here. So what do we say? We're gonna take this one here, and what I'm gonna do is come up here to the measurement tool and find the center, and then I'm gonna go out 5.5 inches. So right there. And then let's go ahead and go to the node edit tool. Select the pattern. We're going to go ahead and grab onto or select all of those nodes, and then we'll drag this out to that line. And then just make sure not to make it, you know, funky side to side. You want to pull it out fairly evenly. The other thing that you can do is just hit the arrows and it'll bump over. Right now you can see up here we've got it to 1/4 of an inch for each bump. That looks like it's just a tiny bit too much, so I'm going to bring it back one, so we'll be right there. And then we can go ahead and tell it, or go to the regular select tool so that it gets out of the node editing. And then we said, what'd we say here? Let's see what this one is. This one's 36, so we're just gonna bump this one up to 36 inches. So we're already selected. Let's go right here. Let's change this to 36. And now we should have something that's relatively close. Yep, that looks really good. Okay, let's delete the old one there. So we've got our new one that's going to be the correct size. And then these are the two pieces that are going to go behind right behind the rear wheels. So we're just kind of putting them in there as well. Let's see if they save any space if we turn them sideways. And it does look like they're going to save just a little bit, so let's do that. Okay, we'll come over here, delete this guy. Now we've got our stuff in here. Let's go ahead and select all these, and then we'll be able to see right up here what size roll. Oh man, you know what? Let's make this. So let's unselect, let's select this, and then let's make this 35.5. And then let's bring these closer together so we can fit this on a 36-inch roll. Okay, there we go. All right, we can change this over here. This will make sure that we're fitting on a 36-inch roll, and it says basically that we're going to be too wide for it, but we're not. And we've got 35.5 inches. This will fit on there just fine. All right, let's make sure we're on the correct plotter cutter. And then we'll go ahead and send it. It may complain that we're over these edges. Yep, we're okay with that. All right, we'll go ahead and hang this up and weed it. Let's see. Let's do something like that. And actually, I'm gonna just do this. So I'm gonna pull the film back here. Trim that off. We'll stick this to the glass. This just helps ensure when we're removing the patterns off of this that it doesn't just come off the glass, the backing there doesn't come off the glass with us. So, and I'll show you all that. So we trim way out here to make sure that we've got plenty of material that is attached to the backing, because once we weed all this, if you cut like a real close line right here, the chances are when you pull on this material to pull this off, that little part will break loose and the backing will come out from underneath this part that's stuck. So I like to leave a little extra on there. Let's go ahead and remove this. And I also like to leave the, you see that before I hung this up here, I did weed off that release liner, the cap sheet. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Let's see what we got here. Oh, there it goes. Okay. I thought we weren't cutting deep enough. That feels, yeah, it's not, I don't know that that's cutting quite deep enough. I might have to make an adjustment to the plotter cutter. But what I'm saying is that if we leave this on here, it makes it a little bit easier to see the difference between these two areas, because otherwise they're both white and real shiny. And it's really hard to tell where the patterns are when you're weeding it. Oh yeah, that is not enough pressure. Okay, so let's come down, bring this across. All right, and then now we can remove the rest of this liner. This liner isn't something that you want to leave on the paint protection film once you've got it hung up on the glass here. Because if there's any bubbles in it like there was there and you leave that sitting there like overnight or anything, you're gonna leave distortions in the top coat on the paint protection film. It's just how it works. And then sometimes those will go away and then sometimes they won't. Like probably if I got this at the right angle, I would probably even already be able to see the little circles where the circles were in the top coat of this. But those will just disappear, that's not a big deal. But if you leave it on there for too long, those become more permanent. Okay, so let's go ahead and install this piece. So I'm just gonna wet that down and give it one final cleaning. Okay, and then let's go ahead, get a mist on there. We'll grab our pattern. And let's go ahead and install this. So what we're gonna do when we're installing one of these trunk pieces is we're going to make sure that we're lined up correctly from side to side. So what I want to see is that this space here, that's a good point to mark from. There's, you know, that's what, roughly an inch. And over here we're a little bit shorter, so I'm going to bring that over just a little bit. And now we're much closer to being centered. I'm guessing it doesn't have to be perfect, but we're going to get it as close as possible. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and tack down this center section. You see all that coverage we get, even way down to here. So that's great coverage. So we don't have to worry about this edge at all, or this one, as people are lifting and putting things into the trunk. Okay, now that that is tacked down, let's go ahead. I'm going to basically, the alignment on this was from left to right, aligned correctly, and then I went just to basically right into that recess there. And so what we're going to do is, you can see that we're starting to come out of the recess there. So I'm going to put a little bit of a stretch on this in order to get rid of these fingers here, and I'm going to push this corner up, and actually I'm going to go like this with my hand just a little bit. And that motion, because as we pull this tight, hopefully it makes sense to you that as I pull this tight, this naturally wants to go back like that. And so we need that corner to go back a little bit, which then, I don't know if you can see that, but we're starting to round up the back of this. And that's where this little turn with my hand comes into play. So now we're nice and close there, and that turn brought this part down, and then we can squeegee this stuff out. So we're just going to come over to our hand, and then depending on how tacky, my slip solution is usually pretty tacky, so that's plenty just to go ahead and lay it down. Now if I wasn't running so tacky, what I would have done is I would have put some tack solution in this area. I would have pulled this back, little tack solution, but not over here where my hand is going to be, because that will make your fingerprints and your hand, where it's putting more pressure on the material, will tack down really quickly, and then you can leave distortions in the adhesive. So I would have done all the tack in here, would have done the same thing, squeegeed over, all this would be stuck. I could let up here and then squeegee this out. So I'm just going back right now and making sure that we got everything off of these corners here, these bends. And let's go ahead and do this side now. So the other thing I was doing with the alignment as well, which doesn't look like it right now, but because the other side, I think it just, this side turned a little bit, but I was making sure that this space here, this gap here, was the same as it was over there. And the reason for that is to make sure that the whole pattern wasn't on there crooked, because then that'll make you have to do some more weird stretching over here, and we don't want to deal with that. Okay, so you can see we're running very nicely there. We've got all the fingers stretched out. Go ahead and bring this over to our hand. Double check this on our way down here. Okay. Okay, and then let's go ahead and we'll squeegee this part out where our hand was. Okay, then I'm gonna just kind of double check this one more time. It's very easy to leave moisture on these bends here. And then also in a recess, little recess like this, because obviously this, we're going to put more pressure on this in order to bring it through here and have it recess into there. Okay, and we'll go ahead and wipe this down and then heat seal these edges. And actually I'm going to go ahead and let this dry just for a little bit, and then we'll heat seal the edges. So this will sit here and dry while we do these other parts, and then I'll heat seal these. All right, let's get this part put on here. Oh, I'm running out of slip solution. Bummer. And it's Friday, and this will be the last paint protection film I'm doing today, so I won't be mixing up any new stuff for this week. So we'll have to use the tint stuff if I can't squeeze enough out of this. All right, so this piece here, it needs a little bit of a funky stretching. We're gonna go ahead and put this into place, and then we're gonna tack this back corner, and then we're going to stretch down into this corner to get this all to line up really well, and then we'll stretch this corner down into place. Well, I'll show you, because we're also gonna tack this down. We're running out of slip. Bummer. Oh, I'm gonna hope there's just enough in here to squeeze out this last install for the day. The rest of the day is window tint, so, and it's Friday, so we're not gonna need any more slip solution today for paint protection anyway. All right, so let's get this part tacked here. You'll wanna use, well, let's just go ahead and do it. So if you're running more soapy, you're gonna wanna put some tack in there so we get this to stay down. Oh boy, that's it. She's empty. Okay, so we're just lining this up real well. Right there, looks good. I'm being pretty gentle, and now I'm gonna be a little bit more firm with that. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this back and stretch this into place, and then I'm just gonna squeegee down about the top inch there. And you know, that top inch, you'll probably wanna add some tack, especially add some tack back in here if you're running a bit more soapy than I run. Okay, now what we're gonna wanna do is stretch this whole thing forward and down so we can get this edge to line back up. Let's get some tack in here. And I don't wanna put my fingers into the tack solution. Oh, bummer. Okay, so we are gonna need the tack up here. So again, I don't want my fingers in the tack solution, so I'm gonna stay down here. I'm gonna get that lined up really well. So right about there. Squeegee that back out. And then I can see here where my finger was touching, there must have been a little bit of tack there because we got that to tack down. And that's why I had that round thing in it. Hopefully you noticed that. It's too late now to go back and show you again. All right, let's get this stretched into place. So we need to bring it this way, and then we're gonna pull down on it a little bit in order to get rid of the finger that was showing up there. And then we'll go ahead and squeegee this out because it's got some tack solution in there. And now that that's held down in place, go ahead and just squeegee all of this out like this, just down to this body line here. And then we'll go ahead and stretch this into place. Now, I don't know if it's something to do with this specific model of this car, but this thing doesn't really fit on here because it hangs over and runs into this other part. So I'm just gonna stretch this into place with some tack solution in there. We'll squeegee it out, and then we're gonna have to come back and trim this off right here. So down here below this body line, get this all squeegeed out. And actually I'm gonna squeegee this stuff down and then take this stuff down separately, because the more I bring this over here, the more that we bring slip solution into our tack solution and we dilute it. Okay, we'll let that sit there for a minute while we squeegee the rest of this out. And then I'm gonna sneak some more tack in right there where it's not wanting to stay stuck down. Okay. Get some tack right there. And then what I'm gonna do is lift up on this a little bit and really get some tack in this whole edge down there. Let's go ahead, push that out. And then I'm gonna just do there's a tiny, there's like an edge here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do a swipe and hold on this edge. The bumper actually goes in and then back up a little. Okay, so there's that. This is done for the week. Empty. Let's go ahead now and trim this off. All right, so you can see here where it's hanging over. So it does wrap around here on the bottom, which is nice. And then we'll go ahead, and this was actually in the computer. And like I said, maybe this piece isn't here on some of the models, I don't know. So let's go ahead and just before it rounds under, we're gonna go ahead and trim this off. Okay, now let's see if we can get that to tear on our cut line. So I like to grab a hold of that very edge and then pull real fast to get that to tear. There it goes. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and squeegee this little edge out again for anything that may have popped up during that tear process. And then we'll go ahead and dry that edge out. And then because this is a dark car, we should be able to see that edge turns silver if it's not sticking down. It looks like everything is staying down really well. Okay, and remember, you're not done till the heat sealing process is done. It's a very tedious little step, but it needs to be done every time on every install. Even door handle cups I heat seal. So it's just an important step to make sure that longevity wise your film lasts. And maybe at the end of this I'll throw in a little footage of the front of this car. I did this car back in 2015, so it's been on here for probably roughly about 9 years. So my edges are all heat sealed. It looks fantastic still for its age. The other thing to note is that she's not planning on keeping this car much longer. We did go around and replace a few pieces. Like I said that we had redone this trunk. Or I said that we had done the trunk just a week ago, but actually what it was, we took off an old piece and put new stuff on because this stuff had started to go bad. This film has definitely been on here for too long. So especially for a film from back to 2015, I mean, I think probably then maybe a 7-year warranty or guarantee, and then you start getting close to the time you should be taking that stuff off of there. All right, so we're just warming these edges up and then pushing them down. And I can see here, I don't know if that shows up in the camera, but these edges are a little bit more silver, and that's because they're hanging over just a little bit, and they're not, so that means that they're not stuck down to the paint. They go over that bend just the tiniest amount. So don't overheat those because it's very easy to bunch that material up when it's overheated, because the film that is popping up off of the bumper still will heat differently than the material that is stuck to the bumper, because it'll absorb that heat and it has to hold that heat, where the stuff that's actually already stuck to the bumper absorbs the heat and then transfers it into the paint, some of the heat anyway, right? Oh, that's too hot. What am I doing? That's window tinting shrinking temperature there. We got to get this. I was like, man, that seems to be getting real warm real fast. Yep, heat gun's way too warm. Usually between 700 and 800 is where I like to run. And then remember, if you start to feel that your glove is not sliding well across the material, it starts to get kind of sticky or tacky, then that means that you're starting to get the material too hot and you'll want to get that heat gun away from it. All right, I was gonna pull the trunk down, but it's way too high up there to even try to mess with it till I bring this car down. All right, terrific. Well, that's the process of installing. So just the whole process of measuring, adjusting that in the computer using Core, and then installing it on the car. So hopefully you found that helpful. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. That really helps with the algorithm. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content. We put content out every week, and we'll see you guys on the next one.